much, Caroline. Well, illegal immigration is back in the spotlight this week now that the Obama administration is taking steps to reverse a Bush administration ruling that denied immigrants the right to reopen cases they lost because of mistakes their lawyers made. Joining us now is Dan Stein, a founding partner at the Immigration Law Group, and Dan Stein from FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Welcome to you both, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And Glenn, I'll start with you. What was the policy? Why was it reversed?
The policy for 20 years has been that if an immigrant can prove that their deportation order was due solely to a lawyer error, then they have the right to reopen their case and have a judge hear their case again. By no means was this an automatic do-over. Now, this had been established legal precedence for 20 years. The Bush administration, in its final days in order, rescinded this long-standing rule, and now the Obama administration is simply reestablishing a level of fairness to this type of case.
All right, so Dan, what problem do you have with that? Is it the fact that it would establish some type of constitutional right for immigrants during deportation hearings? What's your beef?
Well, look, the President Obama campaigned on a platform. He was going to demonstrate to the American people that immigration law was being enforced, that the deportation process was actually working again. Eric Holder has made this decision, no analysis of any kind of how allowing aliens to reopen a case because of ineffective assistance of counsel. Shannon, aliens do not have a constitutional right to an attorney in a deportation proceeding because it is civil. It is not a criminal proceeding. Now, the ACLU and the Immigration Bar, they want every deportation proceeding to be basically a criminal trial and become so cumbersome, procedurally burdensome, and expensive that it's really impossible to effectively, with 12 million illegal aliens here, deport people. So what the Bush administration basically did was say, how can you claim ineffective assistance of counsel to an attorney you never had a right to in the first place? Many aliens are not represented in deportation proceedings, so how can they basically make that same motion? And in this case, Eric Holder specifically ignored the fact that there's no constitutional right in his decision. He didn't mention that fact in his decision. And so what we're going to do is go back to the status quo excuse me, of chaos, delay, fraud-ridden deportation delays. There needs to be an assessment of how allowing this motion to reopen will affect fraud, delay, and hamstring the system before it goes forward.
All right, let me give Glenn a chance to respond there. Where do these rights come from?
Actually, the Supreme Court and the federal courts the past 20 years have been very firm in that immigrants in deportation proceedings have a Fifth Amendment right to due process. So there's been quite an enormous amount of analysis done over the past 20 years through the court system. Seven of U.S. courts of appeal agree to that, as does the Supreme Court. And let me say this is simply an assertion of fairness into the system. This is not a do-over. These people don't get to stay here. The only people that will really benefit from this are those people that would have been able to stay here had it not been for their attorney's errors. So I think we can all agree that a mother shouldn't be separated from a U.S. citizen child, which is pretty much permanent, due to an attorney failing to file some paperwork or missing a deadline. So there has been an enormous amount of analysis done. It's been done through the courts. And I think this is just another example of President Obama showing that he's going to make our immigration system more fair, more functional. So this is simply an issue of fairness. This is not going to create any sort of backlog.
All right, Dan, very quickly, I'll let you wrap us up here. I mean, is this, should we have some compassion in this area, or is this going beyond that?
Look, Shannon, everybody wants fairness in every proceeding the U.S. government administers, but the ACLU has a track record for 30 years of challenging every effort to administer, enforce the laws in the interior of this country. They do not want immigration law enforced in the interior. Every phase, at every level of the enforcement process, including deportation, they immediately attack the procedure. This is, in our opinion, an effort to continue to hamstring the process. There needs to be an evaluation, some kind of a cost-benefit analysis to determine how burdensome it is to allow these long-term motions to reopen to go on. That's why Obama's Ann is still in the country. This system, Shannon, it doesn't work.
All right, Dan Stein and Glenn Stein, we thank you very much for your time today and a great debate, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Thank you.